This is a reading of the comparison between Christianity and Buddhism by Bhikkhu Buddhadsa in a series of lectures in 1967. So in this talk, he talks about the law of karma and God. Having so far given thought to the word religion, we are now going to take into account Christianity in comparison with Buddhism. The first question we will take up for our consideration is, in which respect do the two religions differ? In this respect, the Buddhist first of all will ask whether Christianity teaches self-help or relies on external help rendered by anybody else. He would also like to know the meaning of help given by another. If the taking of another's help means acting according to another's advice, would that be called self-help or help of another? According to what we are generally told, we may briefly say that Christianity contends that everything depends on the will of God. We cannot help ourselves without the help of God or without His consent. Buddhism, on the other hand, maintains we are to help ourselves. We are to act by ourselves. And by doing so, we receive the fruits of our own actions. There is no God to distribute the fruits of our actions apart from the law of karma. If there may be any God, He would be nothing but the law of karma. In this way, there is no personal God who lives somewhere in heaven and controls the destiny of beings. To put it in conventional language, we may say that Christianity is a religion which relies on external help, whereas Buddhism teaches the way of self-help. Thus, there is, ordinarily speaking, no possibility of their going together. But speaking in the language of Dharma, or from the viewpoint of absolute truth, by keeping in mind the truth hidden in between the letters or behind the sound of speech, there definitely is a possibility of blending. And how? In the language of Dharma, God and the law of karma are one and the same thing. Such being the case, both religions can well go together as far as the essential is concerned. They differ only in the usage of the words God or karma. Buddhists affirm that karma is not something personal helping us. If we do the work which is to be done properly, keeping in mind the law of karma, we receive the result accordingly. Doing evil, the result will be evil according to the same law. Even if one misunderstands good for evil and evil for good and acts accordingly, the result will be good or bad according to the law of karma. One reaps the fruits as one acts, no matter how one interprets the action. In this way, we help ourselves by acting in accordance with the law of nature or karma, which is always straightforward, sure, and impartial. It wields absolute power. As the law of karma is absolute and unbiased, we can name it God as well. To see this with reference to Christianity, we may say that God, through whom we harvest the fruits of our actions, undoubtedly is no other than the almighty law of karma of Buddhism. As such, we elevate karma, which means the law of karma, which is but the law, nature ruling the world. On this account, we call Buddhism the religion of karma or religion of self-help. As for Christianity, some preachers have emphatically and categorically declared that one's action will bear fruit, but only when God is satisfied, thereby and has the will to let the actions bear fruit. Some even go as far to say that no matter what and how much good you do, you can by no means receive the fruits thereof, unless you act having faith in God. One cannot, they add, be saved only by accepting the law of karma, which is taught out by men. One can only be saved when one has faith in God. They further say that it is God and not the law of karma or action done according to the law of karma which guides us on our way. As to such statements, Buddhists could reply, Christianity is a religion of faith or a religion invoking external help. Buddhism encourages people to think freely. Buddhists can therefore heartily and promptly accept that God is equal to karma. God is karma. This statement in practice is equally true of both religions. But as for Christians, they dare not or have no freedom to think freely on this subject. Therefore, they cannot agree that karma or the law of karma in Buddhism is in itself God of Christianity. Therefore, they cannot agree that karma or the law of karma in Buddhism is the self-same God of Christianity. As a result of this, Christianity and Buddhism take different routes. The former takes the way of invoking external help, and the latter prefers the way of internal help. After all, it is humorous indeed when it appears that the underlying truths which make man receive the fruits of his actions are one and the same. Now, we shall view things from another angle. We Buddhists sometimes think over and discuss such questions as every religion without any exception, which is being taught and practiced, has two levels according to two kinds of people, those of slow and weak intelligence, and those of a sharp and keen intellect. Of these, the second kind, whose way of thinking and practice is to be regarded as creditable, have certainly attained the right understanding necessary in judging the correct modes of religious practice. If Christians monopolize the truth, insisting that it be found only in their religion, and not letting people use their own brains, but having them just believe, then would not their followers be only half-baked? We have heard Christian missionaries teaching in the street and on overseas radio programs. They only speak of faith over and over again. They shut the door of Christianity, not admitting those who rely on self-help. We do not believe this to be the genuine attitude of Jesus. For thus Jesus has said, I am the way, and you are to follow the way. This was said in the same manner that the Buddha taught us to follow the way, i.e., to practice and follow in his footsteps. In any event, the type of Buddhism which is taught in beautiful pulpits and halls is also all about belief. Belief in heaven. The practice of the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the very essence of Buddhism, is hardly ever discussed. People are not overly encouraged to use their own brains for discovering facts for themselves. When attending a sermon or lecture, most of the audience are already strong believers with regard to what is said. So the result is that while attending a sermon, people half sleep and half listen. While making a comparative study of religion in order to be fair, it is necessary to compare things on two levels. For this purpose, on the one hand, we will have to consider Christianity as taught to an uneducated laity or on overseas radio stations as matched with the type of Buddhism taught in fanciful pulpits and in beautiful halls. On the other hand, we have to mention and compare those members of both religions who are earnestly trying to understand the teaching from the Bible and the Tripitaka itself. And then correct interpretations should be given both in terms of common language and language of Dharma as mentioned above. We should now try to decide on categories of religion, i.e., to decide as to which category a certain religion belongs. We should decide that if a certain religion has such and such characteristics, it should be named such and such. As a rough outline, we may suggest that the following are the main types of religion. Number 1, religion of miraculous power and magic, based on fear on the part of its followers. Number 2, religion of faith, merely based on faith and prayer. Number 3, religion of karma, based on the self-help principle. Number 4, religion of wisdom, based on free thinking and reasoning. Number 5, religion of peace, based on non-harming oneself as well as others. Number 6, religion of loving kindness or love, based on giving up all and everything for others. There being several categories of religion, all the followers of a respective religion can easily find out what kind of religion falls under what category. Let us see whether a certain religion falls under only one of the above categories, is satisfactory and complete or not. We should also mark what special characteristics are held to be necessary for all religions. Before proceeding further, I would like to draw your attention to the meaning and implication of the word religion once more. As has already been examined, religion means a system of observation and practice which causes a person to be bound to God. In this sense, the very virtues of observation and practice are general characteristics common to all religions, or all dynamic spiritual forces known as religion. Observation is wisdom. To practice means action or karma. On this ground, any institution which is to be accredited as a religion must be endowed with wisdom and karma. The law of karma. Wisdom and karma must always be the basis or background of religion. Such being the case, how can we decide which religion is to be given what name among the above mentioned 6 categories? The answer is that, leaving aside the basic characteristics of religion, wisdom and karma, we should only take into account the most predominant characteristic of a particular religion and name it accordingly. If a religion is predominantly characterized by wisdom or karma, we should notice that wisdom or karma is given double stress, or that wisdom or karma has 2 levels. the level forming the basis, and the level forming the very essence which is predominant in that particular religion. Obviously, every religion has wisdom, which is observation, and karma as its basis. Yet there is certainly no religion which has only one characteristic, wisdom or karma as its basis. Everyone with common sense can see that even a religion of miraculous powers and magic involves action, demanding practice on the part of its followers. So do religions of faith, of peace, and of loving kindness. Action presupposes observance, and again, observance is in itself an action. Intentional action is called karma. Principally, we should recognize here that all religions in the world have something in common which is the very backbone and essence in terms of karma or action for practice. Karma or action is indeed the very religion itself. By action is meant the practice which brings man into relationship with God. It does not matter whether that which is called God is conceived of as a person or as a power or as a condition. The only characteristic required of what is called God is that it signifies the extinction of suffering. That much is quite enough, or just enough. For if we expect more than this, it would naturally be tantamount to building castles in the air, which is an irrelevant and unnecessary undertaking. Now, in the course of comparing Christianity and Buddhism, the question arises as to in which way the two religions are different or similar, and whether a person can be both a Christian and Buddhist at the same time. Before answering this question, we must decide first of all under which of the 6 categories which religion falls. If we take into consideration the level of thinking, feeling, and practice of the aforementioned ill-informed and of those with weak intelligence, then not only Christianity, but every religion is reduced to a religion of faith. But if we have the Bible in our minds and think in the Buddhist spirit of reasoning, we feel that Christianity, like Buddhism, is a religion of wisdom and karma. And that having realized the essence of both religions, we can be both Christians and Buddhists at the same time. And what is more, we can be Muslims or Hindus at the same time. I will explain this later from the Buddhist point of view, which is characterized by wisdom or reasoning. We do not feel that Christianity is a religion exclusively composed of faith, as is suggested from talks given on the radio or from pamphlets distributed in the streets. But we feel that Christianity is a religion of karma, which means action, wisdom, love, also known as metta, and self-help. Now, these characteristics of Christianity will be explained in the following way. The reason that I think Christianity is a religion of karma is based on my biblical reading as follows. First of all, we have Simon Peter answering Jesus. Thou hast the words of eternal life. St. John, verse 6, number 68. We Buddhists feel that eternal life cannot be gained simply through faith. Eternal life can only be gained by practicing according to the teachings of Jesus who taught wisely, carefully, and with subtlety. And it is only after one has tasted through practice the taste of eternal life that one may use the word faith. Unless a person has gained eternal life, it cannot be said that he has perfect faith. Apart from this, we feel that the thing which is called eternal life is to be taken in the language of Dharma. Its meaning is deep, and it can be understood only by a man of wisdom. Eternal life is too deep to be understood on faith alone. If one does not understand it in the ultimate sense, then how can one long for and appreciate it? Although previously Peter was only a fisherman, he was wise enough to know of a kind of life which was quite different from his ordinary life. He actually realized another kind of life which made his previous existence non-essential and meaningless. This knowledge must have been very clear to him, and that is why he could understand eternal life. This signifies that eternal life cannot be taken on faith, but is something concerned with wisdom leading to the ultimate goal. In John verse 6, number 63, Jesus himself says, "It is the spirit that quickened, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life." These words have no meaning or serve no purpose if one just believes them without understanding. For these are words expressed in the language of Dharma, to be understood by a man of higher wisdom. It is only after one has become wise enough to comprehend the meaning therein that one can practice accordingly. If a person accepts these words in the language of common people, learns them by heart, and also believes them without the spirit of inquiry, then it would be an extremely blind faith or belief. Such a person could not be called a Christian. Whether certain words will be both spirit and life depends on correct and noble practice. And this practice requires even more care and attention than the most technical subjects of our atomic age. In this context, spirit does not mean mind in a general sense, and life as well does not mean life in the ordinary sense. But there is the eternal which knows no death. I therefore hold that such words cannot be found in a religion based on faith or prayer.